set now for the juvenile fillies turf. 14 of them across the track. Heels set on their way. And of the dance on the outside, broke a little sideways with Pro KK, but meanwhile it's going to be stopped. But running on now, and Somali Lemonade's got 8 to make up. They come to the top of the lane. Stop Shopping Maria's got a lot left. Stop Shopping Maria goes on. Sweet Cat is right there. Hard left to right. Royal Body is running on. Past the 8 ball way comes. Stop Shopping Maria for the run. Still under a hand ride as they come to the 16th. Stephanie's Kitten coming out late. Here's Stephanie's Kitten coming fast. Stephanie's Kitten, stop Shopping Maria. Stephanie's Kitten's watered. Watch the chances broke smartly, but so did Terra from the Cape. On the inside, Sky Lantern the Grey going well. If he can get through. Sky Lantern the Grey looking for somewhere to run. Wide open. It's Terra from the Cape hanging on. Terra from the Cape tries to go all the way. On the outside now, here comes Flotilla in the light blue. Flotilla is absolutely flying. Watch the chances in there too. But Flotilla has gone right on by. And Flotilla is coming home to score. Flotilla has won it just about 2 in the end. It'll be watch the chances. Summer of Fun coming on to finish third.
Live from the backstretch at Saratoga, this is the Handicappers Report. The Handicappers Report is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. The new Capital OTB wagering platform. Bet any place, anytime with the new Capital OTB wagering platform. And CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier wagering site in New York State.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report, coming to you live from the backstretch of Saratoga Race Course. First off, we are off the turf, and it's a beautiful morning. I mean, it's how it goes. I'm joined by my friend and partner, Seth Merrow, who lives closer to the racetrack than I do. You said you got a pretty good rain last night, dinner time.
You said it perfectly. It is beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Now, but
yesterday, sunshine, no humidity?
Pretty much all day. I mean, there was one point yesterday, early in the afternoon, where I was sitting here in the tent, and it could have been doing congas on the roof here. It was so loud. And then during the race day, it was varying degrees of light and medium as I went over to the front side. But yeah, I went out to dinner last night, and at one point somebody at the next table said, "Look out the window." And I looked up, and cascading in front of the restaurant, coming off the roof in waterfall fashion was, so it was no surprise.
And I had mentioned the last couple of shows with you and with Brian how it appeared as if for a couple of days the turf course was starting to go the direction that most of us fancy. But we've been pushed back. When we eventually get to the turf, I think there's going to be some giving. You'll see some slight clods coming up now. Not flying back, hopefully hitting any horses, but its firmness is going away, and who knows how long it'll last. Icky, I mean, it was terrible out yesterday. I mean, we read and we kind of were doing the show yesterday, Brian and I, and we were looking at our weather apps and when it was going to start, and they must have got it rather close because we got the first race fast conditions, and we got the second race in the turf race. I think was labeled as good.
It was
right, and then you just could see that the weather apps were correct, and it was coming in and voila, we are off the turf. It's a sunny day. It's mild out this morning. There's very little humidity in the air, but we are off the turf. There's one race where there's an MTO who's 1-2. There's another race where there's a lone MTO who's 6-1. So greatest game in the world played outdoors. You got to move in groove sometimes. This is one of those days.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be a beautiful weekend.
Yes.
So we're going to get a reprieve, hopefully, again, get through today, and the weekend looks very good. Let me just hit you with some of the promos that are coming up because the Bounty Bet returns today. There's $806 in the Bounty. All you have to do is play the late pick 5 with your Capital OTB bet account, and you're in for a shot at the Bounty. There's also a trifecta challenge at the Clubhouse Racebook. Tomorrow, the Saratoga Syndicate will fire again. Hopefully you made the team. I'm virtually certain the team is closed by now. You can check the website to be sure, but I bring it up because it happens every Saturday, and entries open first come, first serve on Sunday. So if you can't or didn't get in this week, check out the website on Sunday to get in for the next Syndicate Saturday. Tomorrow I'll also have a $100 pick 3 bankroll play. The Play the Board contest tomorrow at the Clubhouse Racebook. Sunday there's a show pool bankroll that you can check out and try to get on.
Is that you?
I will have that again. And then Sunday at the Clubhouse Racebook, the NYRA Pick 4 and Match Bet promotions. Clubhouse Racebook. You can always keep up with the promos and events.
How was your show pool last week, right?
I think I was out in the first
Listen,
I didn't even get started in that one.
I bring it up cold because, listen, folks, I tell people, there were many years, usually, Capitals change up their promos, etc., but there was for many years, there was a weekend that, the handicapper would sit in and we bet. And I tell people, I said, it's by far the most difficult thing to do in this sport for what we do. And for me, it was the only time I ever felt pressure. I never felt pressure with my own money, but trying to win money for our fans out there it's hard. Yeah. And you feel, I tell you, the most adulation I ever felt was the couple times when Palace Malice won the Belmont Stakes. That worked out. When Oxbow won the Preakness, that was a good spring. You feel great, but you sit there sweating bullets. That's why I know what it's like. A show pool out in the first round. It's like, people, you don't know how hard it is.
Show pool is tough. A lot tougher than people think.
It is.
If it was that easy, if you had 260 over 5 or 6 bets, you turn $20 into $100. You turn $200 into $1,000. So if it was that easy, everybody.
I was telling you last week. I think when we worked, 4 shows in a row, and we knew this was coming up. Told you about some of my experiences, and what I found unique about the bet is when we would do it, we would basically say, if you have an opinion on a race, well, you should take that race, right? And I don't know, for whatever reason, I would usually come up in like the 5th or 6th leg. I don't think I was ever early. And sometimes it would be good, and I would be like, I think I have to start playing this bet differently. It's not so much about the horse I like to win the race anymore. If there's a horse I think if my horse has like a 60% chance to hit the board, but this other horse has 80% chance, I got to carry the team with me. And you're right, though, and not only that, if you get like one that pays even money, it's tremendous. But you should understand, it's much harder than you might think out there. Well, just got to pick a horse to finish in the top 3. Well, try it on paper sometime and see how long you go.
And if you are successful, start thinking about using
start making the bet. I mean, that's how it works. If you find out you have that skill set, run with it.
I wanted to hit on a couple other things because today at 10 over at the museum, our friend Lenny Shulman has a new book out, Head-to-Head Conversations with a Generation of Horse Racing Legends. It's like a compilation of really great interviews he's done over the years. So Lenny Shulman will be over at the museum this morning from 10 until noon. You can go get a book signed. Regardless of where you are listening right now, you can certainly get up here.
Lenny.
By noon.
I know it doesn't matter to you, but he's a huge New York Rangers fan. He's one of the most enjoyable people to find at the racetrack.
I'm guessing Steve and I will probably have him on Sunday morning. We typically do have him
just turn on the mic.
Exactly.
We got the whole hour covered.
He's a lot of fun,
75
no
minutes.
question about it. And I also want to remind people, I'll do it again tomorrow, but tomorrow's PDJF Awareness Day, Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund, over on the front side. And there'll be a jockey signing, 11:30 to 12:30, over by the Silks Room. You can go over there and get autographs from all your favorite jockeys and just give a little donation to PDJF because it's a great cause, certainly. So keep that in mind.
That's tomorrow, right?
Front side. Yeah,
I haven't emailed it, but I've done my work, and we'll see what the weather does. But I mean, we all understand that the Whitney and the Travers are the two biggest cards. Alabama's probably the third biggest card. But I'll tell you, the card tomorrow is great. To be the fourth best card of a, well, we'll call it 8-week meet. That's pretty darn good Saturday going out there. So
yeah, and I'll preview people a little bit. Racing Across America tomorrow. Talked with Ron Moquette and his wife and assistant Laura. They're in the stakes barn, so we went there yesterday, and he brought Whitmore out and had him roll in the sand a little bit. So it was a fun interview, a fun time. They're great, and so that'll be tomorrow. But today, a little earlier yesterday, we went way to the back corner of the Oklahoma, beautiful spot. It's the Phipps and the Shug McGahee barn, and we interviewed Shug because, of course, he has first captain in this afternoon, and so we got some thoughts from Shug on first captain, but also talked about some of his greats over the years, easy go, a little personal ensign, and he gave us a heads up on maybe some 2-year-olds to watch as well. So that's coming up a little bit later today on Racing Across America.
And you know, there's always a way. Somebody wins every race, so you just will get the scratches later this morning. You move and you groove, and you know, we were touching on the teletimer yesterday with Brian and et cetera, and I almost feel like it needs to be said that it needs to be fixed, but I just have no confidence that we're going to get there. And I was, you know, thinking about how I've, you know, the turf racing, the rails up, been suspicious, and then yesterday we had a handful of, not a handful, 3 or 4 6.5 furlong races. There's been a lot of questions over the years up here, particularly about the teletimer. Quality Road, who I think went 107.22, I think, for the 6 furlong part, which I think would be the track record over Imperial Hin. But the unbelievable part about that, and you try and collect data to make your point. I think he went like 22-3 for the third quarter mile, which is just not believable. But the part I also thought that hurt Quality Road's track record was there was 2 New York breds, like a day or two, or 2 New York breds within a week of that went like 43 and change for the half mile in 6.5 furlong races. That's just not, you know, 2 New York breds that went 108 and 1 in 6.5 furlong races after Quality Roads. You know, I don't think Easy Goer could go 22 and change, or Turco Man could go, well, Turco Man.
There used to be the old, you had to trip the beam, and so a bird would go, and there would be that. And you always thought, well, as the technology over the last few years has seemed to improve and change and whatnot, you thought, well, now things will firm up, but that hasn't been the case. And
I think the 2 New York breds, how about this? For the half mile, both of them, and one was an allowance New York bred race, under 44 to the half. So that, you know, Quality Road to go 22, 22, 22. I've never seen that. Even in the old days out of Turf Paradise when they used to run that Phoenix Gold Cup, that 6 furlong race. I think Zany Tactics went 106 and change once. But, I mean, just, it would be helpful. And I don't know that anything is being advanced. Like, we don't seem to be getting better at this. Because I asked Seth, because Seth has far more connections than me. He's in the press box. And we talked about the race yesterday. The race was 2 days ago. That there's not even a Trackus internal fractions on that turf race, 143 and change. It's just posted.
And then you know, now we've gone from 5th of a second that you can get them out to 100th of a second. And you're thinking,
mate.
I don't know if they're right.
Well, we were talking about, because it's the Olympics. Imagine if they run the second heat of the 100-meter go. We don't have a timer, but we'll take you, and you. We're not betting billions of dollars, but you 3 can be in the finals. Moving on,
yeah,
you know.
Good. That's a very good analogy or point there. And as you say, it's different here because they are betting millions of dollars.
The whole nature of it.
So
data. You ready?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'll tell you one thing. You know, it's hard what we said, not to make excuses, but boy, once the scratches, it's going to be a great day. I mean, It's really going to be a nice day. We just have to get through the scratches. Obviously, we were off the turf. Want to reiterate that factor. The opener, we have state-bred 2-year-old fillies going 6 furlongs on the dirt.
I always like to point out when there are interesting owners, local owners particularly, but number one, Steve Chris, formerly obviously head man at the Daily Racing Forum. He had the nice little 2-year-old with Phil Gleaves last year. New York bred is another New York bred 2-year-old here with Succulent. I did not use that one, however. I have it 7, 5, 6, and 2. I have a Leoban's Legacy on top. Purchased earlier this year down in Ocala by Leoban. Leoban okay with first-time starters so far this year?
75% of the field covered, you and me. We have
and it's that kind of race.
Yeah, what could you know?
Yeah. But the horse worked 10 flat before the sale. As I say, Leoban, 21 first-time starters this year, 3 wins, 2 seconds, and a third. There was a sibling called Saratoga Promise that won its debut. That was in a maiden special weight at Aqueduct a couple years ago at 6 furlongs. Jeremiah Engelhardt can have them ready. Jose Ortiz on board. So there was just enough there to tilt me in that direction. Free 99. Honor code this year, first-time starters 41. 6 wins, couple seconds, couple thirds. I think that signals some win early on the sire side. The dam produced a sibling called Stanhope that in the first 3 starts, second, and first. So again, some win early breeding. Similar scenario with Curly Girl. At 20-1, sire's pretty good. Nyquist, 31 first-time starters this year. 10 of those have hit the exacta. Horse worked 22.1 before the sale this year. And there's a sibling called Mabrook that was 7th in debut, yes, but then won in the second start. So at 20-1, and I think a lot of that maybe is based on the horse coming in from the Finger Lakes. But we've seen it before. These Finger Lakes horses can ship in and surprise things. So Curly Girl, interesting to me in here also as a debut runner with maybe a little bit of win early breeding. 7, 5, 6, and 2.
Now, a quick note, because you've always been on way ahead of the curve on this. Andy Sterling shows videotapes of these. How easy and how would the fans get these workouts or the data or even the video at these sales? Why don't you let them know, because you have been easy.
That's a great point.
You've been so far ahead of this curve.
That's a great point. The sire stats are available different places, but and a lot of that's a paid product. But the workouts themselves and the times, really easy to use. You look up at you'll see it's Ocala March 21. So go to the Ocala sale, type into Google OBS Ocala and you'll get it. Then you pull up the catalog for March 21st and that'll have the results. And then you go down, they're alphabetically listed. You look for the dam's name, Falconess. So you'll go down, bing, bing, bing. And as I say, they're alphabetically listed. You'll see her. The workout time will be there. There'll be a little camera symbol so you can watch the workout if that's going to be helpful to you. And you can also punch and the page will come up. That will list some of the siblings. So then you can go out and kind of use Equibase to look and see what some of the siblings have done. But that's a great point. That's for OBS Ocala. Facing Tipton, the same thing. You go to the Facing Tipton site, they have all the same information there. So it's pretty easy. It's certainly free, and it's fairly easy. You have to spend a little time and work a little bit, but it maybe pays off because, again, it's something that's not on the page.
All right. Thank you, because my partner, he's way ahead of the curve on that. And as I said, Andy Sterling has the videos. He shows the races. I always say the reason it's not helpful for me is I make it simple is I have to look under the hood to see if it's a colt or a filly. So I'm not going to be able to do too much with that. I'm 4-8-3 here. First time starter number 4 going out for the young stallion Lord Nelson. Now, if Lord Nelson doesn't ring a bell, he's one of those horses. I've talked about this many times, Seth, that period of time, it's about 10 days between the entries for the Breeders' Cup and the race, and you hold your breath, and about every other year, a very significant horse comes out. You think of Yank's Music, she was going to run in the Classic up at Woodbine many years ago. Gorgeous was going to take on Go for Wand and Bayakoa, and Lord Nelson was the horse that I loved in the sprint out at Santa Anita a couple of years ago for Bob Baffert, and I think it was the day before, scratched out, retired, but real good zip here. So Tyler Gaffion, who once again you tipped out the people you would be zeroing in on, and I think he's met your fruition. Now, you want to hear something funny? This is unbelievable. I only found this out 2 days ago. A very long time good friend of mine says that I have known E5 Racing, the person who she has all the data right, for 30 plus years. She went to college with him. She's like, Anthony, you know him. I said, I know who he is on the sheet. She goes, she claims it's true because he's had very good luck. So for second, Sugar and Spice, Christophe Clement having a great year. There's 3 sons of Spicetown that are out there winging it, and Spicer's one of Money, Central Banker, and Sweet Sugar Baby adding blinkers. But the 4 interest me greatly here. We have 75% of this field covered.
Yeah, did we just put the 1 and the 2 in the exact?
Yeah, they're down the road. They're down the road. Yeah, Steve Chris will be, hopefully he's up here and find the winner circle.
Second race at Saratoga today. Again, we are off the turf. These are $40,000 claimers. It was scheduled for the grass at a mile and 16th, but again, we are off.
Now, here's a couple of interesting things. We're going to get to horse down the road who's an MTO who's 1-2. Now, when David Aragona sets the morning line for the MTOs, his job's a little easier because he's, it's not that. I should not have said that. He sets the morning line for that runner being in a dirt race. He doesn't know what turf horses are going to stay in. But there's one MTO Seth in this race, number 5, who's 6-1 on the morning line. And my first guess, I like to go through this, is who do you think is going to stay in? Well, I'll work it backwards. Maybe not the 8, maybe not the 7, maybe not the 6. Maybe the 1 stays in off that career debut. The 2, I don't know. The other 1, off of that slop effort on July 3rd, I don't know. I'm not thinking City Magic, the 3, and I'm not so sure the 4 either after that slop beating 24 lengths. I mean, I don't really think it's going to be a 4-horse field, and I don't know that the 5 is that good at a mile and an 8. So you want to talk about who would I stay in? The 8 has AP Indy on the bottom side. Tomlinson number 359. I guess Hyper Focus gets a 4:15, won the career debut. That was a 4.5 furlong. I mean, figuring out who's going to stay in. The MTO I don't think helps you. I'm really hoping they put up but I don't know. The 2 has to stay in my opinion. Just when you win by a pole in the slop and your Danzig and Distorted Humor. So to me, I'll stay with who I have because the MTO doesn't worry me, and I think the 8, the 1, and the 2 are players here, and I don't know how much is going to change. I just don't think it's going to turn out to be a 3-horse field. I think they'll ask a couple of guys to stay in, but who it is? Oh, I meant maybe you have it in the list. Anytime I see Super Saver as a stallion and it's going to be an off racetrack, City Magic intrigues me, but I'm going to stay with 8, 1, 2. I would probably move the 2 up, bettering this 3rd place rating, but the MTO doesn't scare me in here going 9 furlongs.
I'm right with you. I left my turf pick on top. I have it to 1 entry, 4, 5, and 7. I thought Restored Order. Yeah, you go back to the 2 dirt races. They were okay. This was the horse I had on top on the turf. Sometimes I think you go turf to dirt, the best horse is just the best horse. That's kind of what I'm hoping, and as you say, Hyper Focus has the debut win on the dirt, so I'll stick with that entry. You mentioned the 4, who, in the sloppy track last time threw in a real clunker. 3 starts back was on the dirt, and I think looked pretty good comparatively speaking, but which one is the one you go with? And did the slop affect it? Because I would think by the second race, it's still going to be quite moist out there, so yeah, it's hard to know which way to go, but I put that one in the second spot, and then I used the main track. Only I always think you have to use them.
Yeah, I mean,
because they're getting what they want. But yeah, this is not one that particularly scares me away very much. But as you say, it's dependent on who stays in, who goes out. 1 entry, 4, 5, and 7 for me.
And this is not the one I'm most referring to because this one's 2-1. Now we get to the 3rd race, which is off the turf, a sprint. I think the thinking many years ago, Seth, when turf sprint races came to New York, that one of the advantages would also be on a day like today that they felt that sprinters would be more inclined to stay in. So we have claimers in for 35, non-winners of 3 lifetime, now racing on the dirt at 5.5.
13, 10, 2, and 7. I did use the MTO in here. I mean, this one looks legitimate coming off the win last time. First off the claim for Linda Rice. Now they're
by the way, I have to interrupt. The Pepsi didn't show up, but I won the bet the other day.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now I will get the Pepsi.
No, you know,
or we will
metaphorically
we'll double up.
Okay, yes, point. That's a better idea.
But yeah, off the win last time, off the claim, and a little half step. Well, I say a half step of class really, if it goes N2L to N3L. So I suppose that's a little tougher. But again, get to surface stay logical. Montauk Daddy has early speed and has some okay races on the dirt. That may make this one tougher than I am giving credit putting in the second spot, because speed is dangerous. Maybe becomes more dangerous on an off track like this. And Convection in the third spot. Again, another one with some dirt form already, and so we're gonna rely on that with the surface switch. 13, 10, 2, and 7.
For me, it's the 13 and the 4 and the 3. I also would throw in the 6 into this mix if they should see fit to stay and run. But advance notice, as much as I thought the MTOs didn't really help you out in a direction to go, advance notice is one of the two, I think, MTOs that are going to be on many tickets, the horizontals. I'll be interested to see if the 4 stays in as an offspring of Munnings, who raced on the turf until most recently stayed in and off the turf, which had a wet fast designation, which I think was kind of the brainchild of Steve Chris many years ago. Something a condition we had never even thought about. I will say this, they've gotten away from it a lot. It popped up a lot when it first came in, but the 3, Wesley Ward's runner, debuted on the dirt, but that was fast, moisture, and as I said, number 6, ahead of plan. I think he'd be one of the ones to stay in with the good early speed. We'll see, but the 13 is getting what they want, so 13, 4, and 3 for me with a little lookout to the 6.
Yeah, ahead of plan isn't one I used off the last 2 dirt starts, but the bottom of the page, those 2 dirt starts are clearly good enough. I'm going to be interested to see with Chad Brown training what ahead of plan takes as that one is headed to the gate, if that one elects to stay in, because I may regret leaving that one out.
Well, it seemed like yesterday, I want to say Pier 40, to me looked like Orlando Noda had entered a dirt horse exclusively, like for the turf race, to get what he ended up getting. We'll take one more before our break. It's, I'm sorry, I'm stepping on your toes.
Oh, okay. It is the 4th race coming up. State bred optional claimers. There's a non-winners of 2 other than condition. 9 furlongs is the trip.
Okay, and these picks in early yesterday, 265. I'll touch on Seafoam. To me, I'll tell you one thing that I know that was an awful effort in the mud, but and there's a slop effort in here. But boy, I'll tell you, it's hard for the Medallion d'Oro Unbridled Song for there to be some moisture in the racetrack, drawing inside with Joel Rosario. I just give this horse one more play on the off-going. I mean, I looked it up, Seth. The Tomlinson ceiling is 480, which is kind of a different type number, and this horse is in the 400s, but the efforts on the racetrack just aren't there. But the last effort was in the commentator up early, going a mile. I just have to take Seafoam in here. Christophe Clement having a brilliant meet. I'm taking a flyer for the 2nd start of the year. Evaluator, Jimmy Bond having a back-to-back very good Saratoga meet, 2nd start of the year. Now, this horse has a low Tomlinson number in the low 300s, but has scored a victory and ran well in defeat. 2018, still on the race, on the past performances. I had a Del Mar runner the other day, Seth. 2017 race was still on the thing. So, but Seafoam is my top pick in here. I see we're kind of similar in here. With you have too early, who I probably left out by mistake, going 2 turns.
Yeah, I went 4, 6, 2, and 1. I did put too early on top. Comes off an off-track 2nd place finish last time. Nice win, 3 back, and an allowance non-winners of 1. The last 2 were in against this type of company, and they were 2 nice efforts. You can argue improving efforts, certainly with the finishing position. Might appreciate the 2 turns here this afternoon at Saratoga. Has run decently here in the past in an off-the-turfer, and then followed that up with a little bit of a dud. So I suppose there's a little bit of a question mark on whether this is a horse for a course or a negative horse for a course. But we'll find more out about this one today. But in the current form, that one's on top. Control group, muddy track, 2nd, 2 back was okay. The number wasn't much, but followed that up with a nice win last time in similar company down at Belmont. And then I did use Seafoam, and I would just tell people, Seafoam,
I mean,
go back to the last time this horse was in at this condition and won pretty easily. So I like that.
I mean, there is as much going against each other. You have the pedigree that you would think would be outstanding for the outgoing, bad results. Now, Seth, I hate to bring this up, but that is another sharp tie.
Well,
this is becoming as easy to read as.
I can almost.
That is a gorgeous tie, I would say.
I can give people the cue. Me, I pretty much no pattern whatsoever. I'm pretty much solid on the tie.
Very quiet ties. I call them quiet. But that is a sharp tie you received from Mr. Bay. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, kicking off the pick six.
A day at the track isn't complete without a night at the Horseshoe. Great food, hot music, and cold drinks. So why go downtown when all the action's just across from the track? The Horseshoe Inn at the corner of Nelson and Gridley.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Where's the best place to find your favorite teams, your favorite food, daily drink specials, and wagering on live horse racing? Legends Field Sports Bar, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Get your game on day or night with 75 flat-screen TVs, tournament-style pool tables, a private banquet room, and live horse racing. So if someone asks you, where's the best sports bar in the capital region? Tell them Legends Field Sports Bar, inside the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Handicappers Report, coming to you live from the backstretch of Saratoga Race Course, alongside Seth Merrow. I am Anthony Mormino it's beautiful out. We're off the turf, and we're going to handle the scratches in about 90 minutes or such. But for you, the fans, us, the fans, we, the fans, it's beautiful out. I mean, there's no humidity. The sun is shining out there. The damage has already been done, to the racetrack. We're off the turf, as I mentioned, and it's, I have no guesstimate on the racetrack, but if it stays like this, it's not going to be sloppy at 6:13 this afternoon.
No, I mean, you got sun, a little bit of a breeze.
It's getting nicer and nice. Fifth race, kicking off the pick six, and Brian Edo was pointing out with these change up in the pick six in New York, they're betting with both fists. The dollar increment and the old style has become very popular. 7 furlongs, 3-year-olds and up, claimers in for 25, non-winners are 2 lifetime.
Said earlier, I'd like to mention the local owners, and Litter Box the 3, owned by Eddie Epps Racing. And again, Eddie Epps, they have the place in town. You want some fried clams or a lobster roll, that's the place to go. I ran into Eddie at the track 4 or 5 days ago. Now they have the Eddie Epps on track, but I ran in and he's looking forward to
That's him over in
meeting.
the corner by the 4-star Dave, right?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Stop over.
Is there anybody here you don't know? I mean, that's great. It should be.
No,
that's wonderful.
It's fun being up here because the people I don't know will come up and get some nice feedback on the programs, which then I can pass on to you. Get mentioned a lot, and I can tip my cap to the guys in the control room for putting on a great show because I'm lucky enough to be over there and get that kind of feedback. But yeah, I ran into Eddie. He's looking forward. They got some runners coming up.
Good.
And so he's looking forward to the remainder of the meet. But he has a litter. But I did not use the owner I'm talking about, but I have an 11, 10, 12, and 2. Put the big kahuna on top. Todd Pletcher. This is one of those that just is a huge puzzle in the handicapping realm. Been running against better and drops into claiming company, but takes a pretty steep drop into claiming company, and so it's hard to know how excited to get about this. I think class-wise, the horse is going to stack up nicely. Finished a well-beaten 4th last time, but the first captain, who we'll talk about later. So again, on the class move, I just had to go in that direction, but you could go either way with that thought. Coach Babe is a little bit interesting at the 5-to-1 price, comes up from Churchill. There are some races underneath that are good enough, but the horse is maybe a little bit inconsistent as far as firing better numbers, but a better number from this one does put Coach Babe into the mix, and Edgehar in the 3rd spot at 12-to-1. Similar to Coach Babe, there are numbers underneath that are good enough. The last, maybe not so much, but it was a decent little third, maybe one to build on. If we get a better effort, can be in the mix. I just don't know whether anybody in here offers any kind of consistency or recent efforts that you can really feel confident and hang your hat on. So I have question marks on mine, but I'm 11, 10, 12, and 2.
He used to come to the races, Eddie F, every single day until, like, he used to live in Florida, and he would leave near the end of the meet. His brother and I was one of those people where you saw me, this is not hyperbole, 8 years in a row, maybe 9, he introduced himself to me, his brother, because of what I do here. So I had seen him around the track for a long time. We literally watched the races together every day for 8 years. I tell people a story. Seth came down one time. It was the With Anticipation, and I had the straight, like, $5 trifecta in a 4-horse photo finish, and It Goes My Way. Fernando Poe. And but I think every day for 8 years we watched races, but they've loved horse races since they were little boys. 6, 7, 11 for me. Speed Effect, Bruce Levine's runner, off since over a year, since February of 2020. As I was projecting this set, it seemed like we were going to have some moisture in the racetrack, some off going. I have Danzig, which you don't see too much anymore, an Unbridled Song. That was good enough for me, with Luis Saez, who just keeps on keeping on. Nutsy adds blinkers this afternoon. Exaggerator was pretty good when there was moisture in the racetrack, rather ordinary when there wasn't. And for third, The Big Kahuna at 7-5, one of my favorite movies of all time. 6, 7, 11.
Yeah, really exaggerated.
Probably the shortest list of credits at the end of the movie. I think 4 people.
That would rank there as the record breaker for credits.
I mean, for a big time, non-indie, I mean, a big production one.
6th at Saratoga. Maiden Specials, $100,000 up for grabs for the 2-year-olds. Again, scheduled on the turf at 5.5, but they're on the main track.
Now, this was the one where I don't have an opinion what the MTOs are going to do for us. The first race, I didn't think the MTO was going to have much of an effect. There's 2 races where I think the MTO was going to be the dominant player in the race, and this one was even. The MTOs are the 3, the 11, and the 1A, and I got a bunch of firsters, and I got juveniles going 5.5, so staying in, I'd be staying in. I'm taking the American Pharoah. I'm 984, folks, and number 9, Wesley Ward's second-time starter, lost on debut at odds on. That was down at Gulfstream Park. Has that race under the belt. Comes back at 5.5 today for second. Number 8, Fan the Fire, who is an offspring of Hardspun, and I was interested in him on either surface, Seth. I am not walking away. Curlin on the bottom. And for third, number 4, Slipstream, making the second start. Christophe Clement, more than ready. I'm figuring he has to stay in. I thought this was a very interesting race on the dirt, and I think it's still maybe even a more interesting race going 5.5 on the dirt.
Yeah, I switched, but it's one, and it's always frustrating.
Did you go to the 3 then?
When you're dirt, I used the 1A, but it's
always
the
1A.
Always interesting when your turf pick win. It's frustrating, and this could be one of those races. I originally had it 9, 10, 4, and 5. If any of those stay in, I can see him running just as well.
Now, here's where David gets put in a bad spot.
I was
going to
say, you talked about it earlier. That 20 to 1 is clearly reflective of the turf situation. Because this is not a 20 to 1 shot if the surface gets moved. So again, if you're looking at that,
by the way, who's the most notable winner of the Curlin?
The most notable winner of the Curlin? I don't know.
I think it was the first one, Blame.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know, because Blame is the stallion of the 1, which is the turf part that's predicating the 20 to 1, which is Life is Great, which is the MTO that you like.
So again, don't look at that morning line and think, oh, this is a crazy horse. It's not.
That's my
crazy.
role.
It's not crazy really, because the 20 to 1 is based on the turf situation. What will we get on this one? I don't know, but it's going to be far more reasonable than that. Off the debut, it was a good dirt debut. They get the surface they want. I went in that direction. They get the surface they want for Bad to the Bones. I went in that direction underneath. And then I put a couple of turf horses. Oh, wait a minute. I had...
Who you have?
Well, I have the 3, so I have
That's
one
an
turf
MTO.
horse that holds on. So I have American Experiment, but Castle Leak. I'm wondering if that's another one of those Game of Thrones references. I'm not a viewer, so I can't tell. But this one had a couple of win early siblings. I was using that horse on top on the dirt. So as I say, I don't want to totally be sitting on the sidelines if this one does run well. And Wesley Ward keeps in, so don't ignore that one. Again, with the surface switch, if they stay in, it could be dangerous. I have it 1A, 11, 3, and 9.
And the pick 6 players are up against it, but the 6 races started at pick 5. You'll see the board. You can go forward from them. One more before the break. 7th race, starter allowance on the dirt, once around, mile and 1/8.
6, 2, 9, and 4. I'll put Winter Pool on top. Chad Brown trainee, Peter Brandt and company. Nice improving Buyers, start 1 to start 2 to start 3. Broke the maiden a couple starts back at Churchill, and then followed up in this kind of salty starter allowance and just missed, going a mile and a 16th. So seemed to appreciate the 2 turns. Faded a little bit at the end, but was, another half a length clear of the 3rd place finisher. So certainly didn't fade badly. I'll look at that, first time 2-turn experience being under the belt, and maybe the horse improves. And as I say, I like the numbers going forward. Humbrazo in the 2nd slot, claimed a couple starts back. Moved into the Joe Sharp barn and improved nicely. Off of that improvement in the first start for the new barn, I think I have to have that one in the mix, certainly. And Running Ray. Seasonal debut was a big win for a waiver claiming event down at Churchill, also for Joe Sharp, but it was such a big effort. I just can't ignore that. This horse may be a brand new horse as a 5-year-old. We'll learn more today. This is the waters get a little bit deeper in here, certainly, but that was a pretty good effort to kick off the season. Louis Saez lets to jump on board. 6, 2, 9, and 4.
I'll just add, obviously we had the same exact, but Beachwalker for Ron Moquette is my 3rd place runner in here. I think he fits very nicely and could better this 3rd place rating, but 6-2-7 for me. We'll take our next break, and when we come back, the final pick 3.
Welcome to the West. I'm Scott Varley at Saratoga's latest and greatest high-rise luxury condo. Starting in the mid-5s, every condo here has 2 bedrooms and 2 baths and upgrades just like this. Check out these oversized private balconies. We also have a gym, a private lounge, and get this, a heated parking garage. To make a reservation for your private condo at the West, call or text me. I'm Scott Varley at 518-281-6808.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to Saratoga. It is the Handicapper's Report on a Friday morning. We have a nice curling coming up a little bit later on. Jim Dandy tomorrow and more. The Vanderbilt, nice weekend ahead. Gorgeous weather, as you can see behind us. Unfortunately, the rain overnight knocked us off the turf for today, but look for improving conditions throughout today and into tomorrow.
And this was the race that got clobbered. This is the real
the kind
loss.
of fun, and you keep your fingers crossed. We'll hold on. I kind of like these marathons on the
Me
turf.
too.
But again, we're moved over to the main track for race number 8, an allowance, non-winners, one other than.
And not only that, from a betting standpoint, the pick 5, the pick 3s, the pick 6s, it really changes it out. I mean, we had Depaolo, who I talked about. He had sifting sand, got home at $58. I mentioned to the audience, as a stallion, he's right behind Galileo, not much talked about in the United States. I don't think he's staying in. I'm like, but the 11 here, playing the Lionheart, is 1-2 on the morning line, and he's in against a bunch of turfers. If I went through this log again, I would say I don't see the 8, the 9, the 6, the 5. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the 10. Who in the main body, Seth, would you make better than 50-50 stays in? The 3, Mudpie?
Well, the 3, because there's some dirt for him underneath there.
But isn't he the only one?
Well, the Chad
Brown, it's not going to be a 2-horse race.
There are Chad Brown horses that work on the dirt. I think he tends to stay in sometimes.
So you think the 8 staying in?
So I think the 8 might stay in. Like I say, 50. I'd give that better than 50-50, but not much.
And I mean, the 4, the 5. I mean, it's just hard. The 6, the 9. I mean, you're really guessing. The 10, and I mean, 1-2 might look generous.
The 6 has some dirt workouts that certainly indicate that one's likely to stay too, I would think. There's a bullet workout there on the training track down at Belmont.
By Mike Mager from Grand Motion, this is the spot he wants. See, maybe he gets Irad Ortiz, puts him on the engine, and but it's the 11. I mean, it went from being a fantastic handicapping race to like, it's all the 11 down the road, right? I mean, that's pretty much. This is the race, the 1-2 shot. Bill Bauer's got to be looking at almost free money. I mean, this is a layup for him. And I think, remember years ago when they used to try and transfer the race at the same distance before they shortened up to a mile and an eighth, etc. They start in some weird places on these races, but this is all the 11.
Yeah, I have it 11, 3, 8, and 6. The horses I mentioned. Main track only gets what they want, and it's a quality dirt runner. So the question mark may be the track surface. On wet tracks doesn't have a stellar record, but I just think they get what they want, and it is a bona fide dirt horse. Mudpie has the dirt races underneath, and as I say, Chad Brown with some dirt workouts might stick in, and Giroux with the bullet dirt work since the claim as well, which is notable, makes Giroux maybe an interesting player.
I mean, I hope it's at least a 5-horse field.
Yeah, we'll see if it holds up. 11, 3, 8, and 6.
Now you go out for dinner often. Are you a Mississippi Mud Pie fan? Dessert?
No,
a dessert guy?
I usually don't get dessert at restaurants. I have plenty of dessert at home.
Do you really? I didn't know that. We worked together 15 years.
Some cake or some cupcakes or some pie.
Oh, wow.
Usually have sitting around the house.
All right. 9th race. Started a couple years ago. I think you don't want to run the Jim Danner. You're not quite there yet. You have the Curlin at 9 furlongs, named after 2-time Horse of the Year, brilliant stallion, and man, that 7 furlong debut, and Helen Pitts. Goodbye, goodbye. That's probably a good trivia question, right? Who had Curlin for the debut?
As you mentioned, I was trying to think of her name.
Oh,
so,
okay. Yeah. So I think it's an interesting race. I know you have Shug and First Captain thought, but I thought it was a deep race.
Yeah, I had it 4, 2, 7, and 1, but I will say I have First Captain on top. I'm not totally convinced. I just didn't find an alternative that really pulled me in that direction. So again, I'm not totally convinced. Yeah, I do have Shug coming on.
Shug never strikes me as a Sheets or any. He's an old world type guy, but I wonder how many debut runners he's had, like a 94 buyer. Well, been like, Shug, your debut, not your second start.
And we talked about the debut because it was such visually. It was about the 8th pole. You think because there was buzz on the horse with the price and everything. You think, oh, this will be a useful 3rd place finish.
Yeah, and move forward.
And so I got his opinion on that as well. But Shug's coming up a little bit later. Dave Donk will join us as well, and Gene Kirshner from the Buffalo News. So fun racing across America
Gene
later.
is supposed to email when he's in town. I'm very upset. Is he
here?
here?
I'm sure you'll cross paths with him because I think he's coming early. So
awesome.
But again, First Captain on top, 3 for 3 so far. And as I said, not totally convinced, but I didn't think there was anything else in here that pulled me in the direction. With the Dwyer under the belt last time, does stretch out, tries the 2 turns today, so we'll see. Snowhouse in the 2nd spot, behind First Captain last time, but lightly raced. Also trying the 1 1/8 distance for the first time here, and it's Brad Cox. I think this one could be interesting. A dynamic one. Obviously, you draw a line through the Kentucky Derby, but I think over the years, there have been a lot of horses that the Kentucky Derby
doesn't work
just
out.
A total aberration. Forgo, one of my favorite horses. You draw a line through that one. And
didn't he hit the rail? He finished fourth, didn't he?
It was decent, but it wasn't Forgo.
Well, he wasn't Forgo yet.
What he became, yeah.
That's Secretariat's Kentucky Derby, by the way.
Yeah, so everybody looks bad that year. But again, I'm going to draw a line through that Kentucky Derby, and the Wood Memorial, I thought indicated this could be an interesting player. Miles D I have underneath for Chad Brown with only 2 starts. That one's an interesting player. Harvard with the early speed. You're right. It's a fun race.
I think it is.
I'll go with First Captain.
First Captain 7-5. I didn't see that. I did not think I was going to like too many horses going forward out of the Wood Memorial, but I do. I have Dynamic One on top here. I do think that the moisture will help a little bit, even though the career debut doesn't indicate that, but I'm throwing it out. Since then, been exclusively a rooter. I don't get the best post position, but Dynamic One, I think, on this day, and I'm not so sure what this means going forward for the Travers. I'm not so sure if this group can make a big impact, but for the Curlin, I like Dynamic One. First Captain, who gets 2 turns this afternoon, fits in the mix, but I had 4 or 5 horses fitting in the mix, and I can't take a short price. And Snowhouse, who is exclusively run at a mile, which is rare, is my third pick. He draws inside, brilliant pedigree in here. I think it's a very unbalanced race. Not the type of race I saw a 7-5 shot in, but so be it.
And you brought up the Travers, but tomorrow, of course, the Jim Dandy. I don't think I mentioned earlier. But Ron Moquetta on tomorrow. Brad Cox is scheduled to come in tomorrow too to talk a little essential quality. So racing across America tomorrow should be potent as well. 10th race this afternoon, wrapping action up about 6:15 on Friday evening. Maiden Stakebred Claimers, again scheduled for 8.5 furlongs on the grass, but we're on the main track for the finale.
And this one, I think many people familiar with my work would understand that I'm not afraid of chaos, and I think this becomes the most chaotic race on the card, which I liked, and I am now 4-1-16. You can't really forget the morning line. That's way out of position. It should be noted that the 16 is the only MTO. It'll be interesting to see what post position she ends up getting, because it's going to be 9 furlongs. So, but the 4 is a first-time starter with Deputy Minister and Chris S. as the grandsires. We draw inside here. Rob Atras sends out this runner. I thought was as eligible as anybody. I think it's going to be chaotic. I could go for the 2 maybe a little bit, but the 1, Home for Christmas, I don't even know if they're staying in here, but I like the early speed in the most recent effort. Off the turfer in the slop from the rail. Second time in for a tag. I stay in easily, and I just get good position with Joel Rosario. And then the 16 on the far outside, I just thought Constitutional Rage, he just fits in the group. It's not like he's King Kong in here and he's on the outside. I think the 1 has a big advantage over him, but I threw in the first on top for the chaos. 4-1-16 in the finale at approximately 6:13.
I mentioned it earlier. Sometimes I just think the best horse is the best horse, so I stuck with my top pick on the turf. 10-5-1-3, Highway Queen. Has a couple of okay dirt. Well, 1 okay dirt start. The other one was maybe not so good, but I think comparatively speaking, probably fits with this one. Tried the turf last time, was claimed. The workouts on the dirt are okay. So I'm going to stick with that Mike Maker off the claim play, regardless of the surface switch. Then I will go to the Tune, who I thought the last 2 off the turf events were okay and stack up nicely with this group. Constitutional Rage, main track only. They get the surface they want. So 10th and final at Saratoga. 10-5-1-3.
So I think we have 2 races that the MTO might be very dominant player, and a couple more where they're just in the mix with everybody else. We're going to take our Depaolo break here. When we come back, the play of the day.
Welcome to Albany County, an incredible destination to live, work, and play, with easy connections to more than a dozen cities from our vibrant modern airport. It's a short trip downtown to a hive of culture and amusement, from world-class shows at the newly renovated Times Union Center to reliving the past at the New York State Museum. From outdoor recreation to shopping to nightlife Albany County has something for everyone. We'll see you soon.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. In front, but here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Bob. These two arch rivals head to head with Joe Hart bearing down on them. It's going to be a 3-horse photo finish to the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
The Capital Region has some of the most sophisticated horse racing fans in the country. That's why Capital OTB built the Clubhouse Racebook. Here you can wager year-round on the best horse racing from around the world. The Clubhouse also has monthly promotions including live bankrolls, handicapping contests, and so much more. Like sports? Watch your favorite teams on more than 30 screens in Legends Field Sports Grill. Food, sports, and the excitement of championship horse racing. Only at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
At Depaolo, we think of our customers as family, so we want your experience here to be fair and easy. Whatever you drive, any make or model, Depaolo is at your service with 100 bays and master technicians. So come join the family and think Depaolo for all your automotive needs. At Depaolo, we think of our customers as family, so we want your experience to be fair and easy. Depaolo can service any truck up to 72,000 pounds, so if you can drive it, Depaolo can service it. So come join the family and think Depaolo for all your automotive needs.
It's post time for today's Depaolo Play of the Day.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now time for the Depaolo Play of the Day. We're bringing in our good friend, Anthony Stabile. Anthony, good morning.
Good morning, guys. What's happening?
Well, it's beautiful out there. Unfortunately, Mother Nature, she already had her way. We're off the turf, but boy, it is beautiful out there right now.
Gorgeous day. Breakfast was fun. Just trying to get this track dried up a little bit off the turf for everything, as you would imagine. But hopefully it clears out for the weekend. It's supposed to be 70 and sunny here tomorrow and today.
Beautiful.
I cannot think of better weather days here. I'll be hanging out. Today I got to do radio, be on HRN. Tomorrow I'll be hanging out from the set. Section D, so come by and say hello tomorrow. I'll be there all day.
Good to hear. And rumor has you're sending us to the Curlin Stakes race today, race number 9.
I am. You guys were talking. We were talking off air. It's a tough race, but I've been a big fan of Collaborate.
Okay.
Since day one. For my man Bob Edwards, E5 and 3 Chimneys. Source ran well first time in the slot. Probably should have won. Didn't have to clean his trip. I think distance is going to be this horse's friend. He broke his maiden at the mile. It kind of threw him to the proverbial wolves in the Curlin Florida Derby, where he was involved in that pace the whole way. I think he's kind of found his niche. That just off the pace of the speed, make one run. He's got horses like Harvard and Aaron, who's inside. I would imagine they're going to go. And I think he's just going to sit third. Outside of horses, I don't think the 9 furlong is going to be a problem. If it's still wet, I'm sure there'll be some moisture in the track. He's handled it fine in his debut. Like I said, he probably should have won it. I've always been a fan of this horse. Now, you got horses in here like Miles D, certainly the favorite First Captain. I didn't love First. We wouldn't have laid him as low on the line as he is, and I don't know if he's not even money. I'm certainly trying to swing against. I don't want to do that swing. I'm going to take that swing with Collaborate today.
All right. We'll have a great Friday afternoon. As you said, foreshadowing tomorrow, a great card on deck, and it sounds like Mother Nature is going to play nicely again tomorrow. So that is Collaborate in the 9th race today, the Curlin Stakes from Anthony Stabile. Anthony, have a great Friday.
Good luck, guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that wraps up the Handicappers Report. He stays, I go, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, we're off the turf, but come on up to the racetrack because it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful day for the fans.
No question about it. Gorgeous day this afternoon, so stop on up, and the weekend even better. So looking forward to it. We'll wrap things up. Stay tuned. Top of the hour, racing across America. We'll see you then.
You've been watching the Handicappers Report. The Handicappers Report has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. The new Capital OTB wagering platform. Bet any place, anytime with the new Capital OTB wagering platform. And CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier wagering site in New York State.